Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech. You know, if there's one constant in the world of technology, it's that there is no constant. It's just relentless, dizzying change. The second you think you got it all figured out, bam, the ground shifts right under your feet. And this week, oh yeah, it was no exception. So let's break down another week where the future decided to show up a little ahead of schedule. So here's our game plan. We're going to kick things off with the AI tsunami that's hitting everything. Then, we'll dive into Apple's latest and greatest, followed by some seriously cool hardware popping up on the horizon. After that, we'll get real about the industry's growing pains and wrap it all up with the big picture. First up, the one thing you just can't escape: artificial intelligence. I mean, this isn't just a cool new feature anymore, right? It's a fundamental shift. It's a full-on tidal wave of promise and maybe a little peril that's crashing over literally every single industry. And that brings us straight to Hollywood. OpenAI is actually backing a new animated film called Critters, and it's made mostly with their AI tools. This quote from Mashable, it just hits the nail on the head. On one hand, you've got this incredible, mind-blowing new way to create. But on the other, there's this deep, nagging fear about what we lose when pure efficiency starts to replace that human touch. And if you want to see what that disruption looks like in hard numbers, here you go. A typical animated movie. You're looking at 3+ years and a budget north of $100 million. Critters, using AI, is aiming for around 9 months, for less than $30 million. This isn't just a tiny adjustment. This is a complete upending of the entire industry's economics. It's huge. And this identity crisis, this question of what is this thing for, it's not just happening in Hollywood. It is now front and center in our schools, and it's forcing us to ask some really fundamental questions. Saul Khan, the guy who founded Khan Academy, he has a pretty clear take on this. His whole view is that we absolutely cannot afford to just stick our heads in the sand. His point is, if people with good intentions don't step in and help guide how AI is used in education, then you can bet someone else will. Build those tools, and they won't care one bit about the consequences. That's the whole idea behind their AI tutor, Khanmigo. They're trying to build a responsible guide, not just a machine that spits out answers. But while some see this bright AI-powered future, the very company that basically organizes the world's information, well, they have a much darker view. In a recent court filing, Google straight up admitted that, quote, the open web is already in rapid decline. That is a stunning, stunning admission. It kind of suggests that the rise of AI search and all these walled-off apps is changing the very nature of the internet as we know it. So with all this AI-generated stuff flooding our feeds, how in the world are we supposed to know what's real? Well, one potential answer is this: C2PA, content credentials. The easiest way to think about it is like a digital nutrition label for photos and videos. Companies like Google are starting to embed this data right into the files so you can see if an image came straight from a camera or if AI has been messing with it. It's a first step, but it's a really important one in trying to rebuild trust in a world full of convincing fakes. Okay, let's shift gears. We're stepping out of the chaotic Wild West of AI and into the meticulously curated walled garden of Apple to see what they've got cooking up for us. All right, so for the Mac, the next big update, macOS Tahoe, seems to be focused on two main things. First, a big visual refresh they're calling Liquid Design, and second, making your Mac and iPhone play even better together thanks to a much more powerful search, and finally, new dedicated phone and games apps. In this quote right here, wow, it just captures a complaint I've heard for years about Apple's Pro hardware. The Apple Watch Ultra has some absolutely incredible features, especially for safety and serious athletes. But, as Jane McGuire points out, you can only get them in this massive 49mm case that's just way too big for a lot of people. And for anyone holding out hope, yeah, it doesn't look like the upcoming Ultra 3 is going to change that. Now for the next iPhone Pro Max, the rumors say the main and ultra-wide cameras are going to stay pretty much the same. The real story is the telephoto lens. We could see it leap from 12 all the way to 48 megapixels. That would be a massive, massive improvement in zoom quality. And what about Apple's most futuristic gadget, the Vision Pro? Well, it turns out, according to some former engineers, the biggest problem isn't the software, it's the hardware. The feedback is pretty clear. The first one is just too heavy and too bulky for most people to wear for a long time. And that sparked all these rumors that Apple's next move might be a lighter, sleeker model, maybe called something like the Apple Vision Air. Okay, let's move outside of the big tech giants for a minute, because there is a whole world of weird and wonderful and sometimes wacky gadgets being built. let's take a peek at some of the most interesting stuff popping up on the horizon. First up, get this, a car grille that's also a screen. The new all-electric Mercedes GLC has this incredible front grille made of 942 individual white pixels. Now, for now, it just plays these little welcome and goodbye animations, and regulations mean it can't be used while you're actually driving. But come on, it feels like a little glimpse into a future where our cars can be a lot more expressive. Hey, do you remember netbooks? Those teeny tiny, kind of cramped laptops from like a decade ago? Well, that form factor is back, but this time it's a super high-powered 3D gaming handheld called the Dejira Holomax. It's a really fascinating idea, but it comes with this absolutely diabolical price tag. For nearly $2,700, you'd better be 100% sure this is the gadget of your dreams. And for all you adventurers out there, we now have personal exoskeletons. The Hypershell is this super lightweight frame that uses an AI motor to give you over a horsepower of assistance. What's the goal? Simple. To make those steep hikes and long climbs feel way easier, so you can go farther and higher with less strain. Now, for every cool new gadget, there are these powerful, kind of hidden forces that are shaping the whole industry. So let's zoom out a bit and look at some of the systemic challenges and, the growing pains that are facing big tech right now. Just look at this paradox happening in the EV market. GM just hit record sales for their electric vehicles. Awesome, right? But they're actually scaling back their production plans. Why? Because a massive $7,500 tax credit for consumers is about to expire, and nobody knows what demand will look like without it. It's just a crystal clear reminder of how much government policy can make or break these markets. And then there's the environmental cost of things like forever chemicals, or PFAS, which are used to make computer chips. As this timeline shows, this is a story that's been going on for decades. We've used them forever, the EPA finally set limits on them in drinking water last year, and now there's already a proposal to roll those regulations back. It's that classic story of technological progress clashing head-on with environmental reality. So, after all of that, what's the big picture? What does this all add up to when you put it all together? Well, here's what this week really tells us. You've got the explosive, almost chaotic force of AI, which is making us rethink everything from creativity to truth itself. Then you have the slow, steady, relentless march of giants like Apple. Meanwhile, weird and wonderful innovation is still happening out on the fringes. But all of it, every single bit, is being pushed and pulled by real-world economics and serious environmental costs. And all that leaves us with one last question to chew on. We are building tools with capabilities that honestly would have felt like actual magic just a handful of years ago. But as these tools get exponentially more powerful, are we actually getting better at solving the world's big problems? Or are we just getting better at creating new and maybe even more complicated ones? If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.